go to make a change. Nothing will be the same.
Kia ora everybody, welcome back to today's MIT Online Lecture Series. I'm Stevie and today we're joined by Mary Moeke and Kylie Smith. Welcome, korua.
Hi,
and also we...
Stevie.
Kia ora.
Awesome. Whakalawhai atu ke matolosi. Gina, again, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have enjoyed the previous weeks of our lecture series. As Stevie said, we are joined here by two lovely colleagues from our School of Early Childhood Education who are going to shed some light upon their program. So first question up, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Mary, if you want to start.
Ka pai. Ko Mary Moi kia hau, no Ngāti Parau, no Te Arawa, he kaere kaupapa Māori a hau I roto I tēnei kura, te kura a koko hunga hunga nai nei, tēnā rawa atu, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnā koe, Mary.
Kia ora koutou, ko Kylie Smith tuku ingoa. I'm Kylie Smith. I'm really excited to be here today.
Awesome, thank you for that.
Awesome. So, just in a nutshell, can you please tell us about the program that you both teach on? So it's program levels, location, understanding online learning, part-time, full-time, and also if you can touch on some of the entry requirements, that would be awesome.
Ka pai. So in terms of myself as a kaiarahi, I teach on two programs within our early childhood program, and that is the New Zealand Diploma Level 5 NZ 2851 and the Bachelor of Education Early Childhood Level 7 MN 4481, and I teach full-time and take components within each as in terms of te reo Māori, tikanga Māori, te tiriti o Waitangi components and other areas that I'm able to cover. Kia ora.
Ka pai.
So also in the School of Education, we're really lucky to have a wide range of programs. We also we offer right from Trades Academy, which is our year 11, 12, 13 students who come in and see us from school, which is amazing. We've also seen lots of those students come and do our Level 4 certificate, which is a 6-month program. And as Mary talked about, also we have the diploma and our degree program. So you can do all of those programs both part-time or full-time. We obviously at the moment we're online, so that's a bit different, but normally we'd be blended. So what that means is that you do some of your learning in the classroom, and then some of your learning happens with online content. So we provide all of that to you at the moment. The teaching staff are doing lots of online conferences and things like that. So we're actually hoping to continue some of that technology and that use of teaching once we go back to normal. But it's a very much a blended program where all our early childhood programs are field-based, which means that you actually are out in an early childhood centre for some of your week, whether it's 1 or 2 days, and then you might be in the classroom 2 or 3 days, depending on your program. So you get to put into practice what you're learning in the classroom out with the children, and then if you're having some challenges, or you want to share some really positive stories that happened with the children over the week, you come back to class the next week and you get to share those. So we're really lucky that what's so special about our programs is that they are field-based. You actually get to work with children straight away. You don't have to be in paid employment. You can be in a voluntary capacity. But what I will say, and I know Mary will back me up on this, our students, the rate of employment so high, because you guys you're out there. People it's like a practical job interview. You're already out there, and they're like, "Oh, that person's amazing. Right, we want to snap you up on a Monday and Tuesday, or hey, when you're qualified, here's a full-time job." So the rate of success for our students in employment is incredibly high. So we're really proud of that.
Awesome. Definitely very proud of that. On that note, where are the ECE programs being taught on MIT campuses?
So we're all based on the North Campus. So all our classes are on North Campus, regardless of which program you're doing.
Okay.
Cool. And sorry, with the bachelor program for ECE, what are the top or main entry criteria for the degree program?
Yes.
Yeah, good question. So for each of our programs, they're slightly different. So maybe I'll start with our level 4 program first. So if you're wanting to do our 6-month early childhood certificate, which is a 6-month program, which we have 2 entries in per year, so February start or July start, those essentially you'd have to come for an interview. So any one of our programs, we have to do what's called a risk assessment as part of meeting the Children's Act requirements. So that's the same as any provider, not just us, because you're working with children. So one of the things that you'd do is you'd come in and have an interview. So for example, you might see Mary or I interviewing you. We'd ask you a bunch of questions about, why do you want to work in early childhood? What's your future goals? How would you deal with this particular situation? And then from there, just ID documents, all that kind of thing. But at level 4, no real entry requirements, just attending your interview and making sure you've given all your documents. For our level 5 program, you need to have NCEA level 2, or if you're under 20. So if you're over 20, you don't need to worry so much about that. But if you're under 20, you need to have NCEA level 2. And then for our degree program, you would need to have same thing. You need to do the interview, and we do a diagnostic test, which we just assess literacy and numeracy to make sure that we can support you in degree study. But also you would ideally have UE. So if you don't have UE, if you're under 20, we would be looking at your NZQA record of learning and make sure that you've got the 10 literacy and numeracy credits. So 5 credits in writing, 5 credits in reading at level 2. So even if you don't have UE, we really encourage you to apply anyway, because there are other pathways into the program. So again, that's something that's really special about our school. Our diploma program is a great opportunity for students who are like, I'm not quite sure if early childhood's for me. They want to test it out. And it's a 1 year. And then if you're successful with that and you're loving it, then you can use that 1 year as cross credit into our degree program if you meet all the entry criteria, and you go straight into year 2. So it's, we've got some excellent pathways for our students into early childhood education.
Awesome.
So, if we had a student come over from a different provider or tertiary provider with a diploma, is that the same sort of entry requirement, or does it have to be the MIT diploma to get into year 2 of the degree?
That's a really good question as well, because the diploma program is actually a national qualification. So what that means is that we can offer it at MIT, but also it might be offered at other tertiary providers as well. Right. However, there are some criteria around that. We've had to really bump, because we're a field-based degree, like I said before, we've had to bump up our practicum component quite a lot in our diploma program to make sure that we can cross-credit and align really closely with the first year of the degree. So look at it this way, we might be able to credit some elements, but potentially not all. Either way, you're better off to apply and have the conversation.
Okay. Awesome. So with your, with the lockdown that's happening and with your everything being shifted online, how's that been for you both? The new delivery methods?
I must say myself that I'm loving the virtual space, and being able to provide and deliver online has been not only new, but also exciting, because there are elements that I've been able to explore and implement in my teaching practice. Thank you, Ko. And it's made me aware of my own limitations as well, and working a lot together with the students online, we've been able to help each other and assist each other in terms of technology, and not only still be able to deliver the content of the program, but also those extra additional bits and pieces that go in line with it.
Yeah, I completely agree with Mary that we've really explored some different skills in this particular scenario, but for the better, because I think we're all able to go, actually, This is great, and it lets us think about different ways that students learn. And so for us to be able to return to our face-to-face teaching and go, actually, that online conferencing works so well, we're going to continue that alongside what we're already doing. So I think it's given us some other practical strategies of engaging students in different ways, because not everyone can make every class. Now we've got tools to be able to go, hey, if you can't make it because your child is sick or something like that, don't worry about it. We're going to record the session for you. You can catch up when you need to.
Right.
So it's forced us to become a lot more technologically savvy, and not in a bad way. So it's a good thing.
Definitely a good thing. That's awesome. So random question, tell us a fun fact about yourself.
Myself, I didn't think that I would be on this journey. I've been working in education now for over 31 years. Wow. Thinking about it, and in answer to your question, I dreamed of being a truck driver because I grew up in the day of BJ and the Bear, and so I thought, yes, when I get my license, I'm going to be a truck driver and travel around Aotearoa, New Zealand. But after making 3 attempts at trying to back a truck into a stock room, I failed miserably, hence why I've had to look elsewhere as a career option. So, kia ora.
Thank you, Mary.
Mine's not half as fun, and I had to think really hard about this because I don't know if I'm necessarily a fun person, but something weird, I guess, maybe, is that I like apricot jam on a cheese scone. Is that weird?
No.
Stevie's like, no, I can have that today. Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Okay, so I think I'm going to change this question up a bit, because when we're working with students, they always talk about the practical side of the program. So can you please tell us about Practicum, like in each of the programs, and also the time frame and what's involved for students that do come to the ECE program?
I'll let you answer this one, Kylie.
Certainly. So as I said before, the practical element of our early childhood programs is really high. And it's a thread that runs through all our early childhood programs, and it's something that I guess is philosophically a part of what we do. And so that is what I mean by that is, in our certificate program, you'd be doing about 60 hours of contact with children, so either working or volunteering with children in an early learning centre, and that's of your choice. So, it might be that you choose to go somewhere that's close to home. It might be that you want to choose an early learning centre that you've got friends at, or children are friends of children of friends, that kind of thing. Or just maybe the centre manager or owner, and you've got a way in. So we really want you to find somewhere that you feel really supported. And when we say 60 hours, it's essentially 1 day a week. So you do like not on a class day, obviously. You would do about a 6-hour day, so 1 day a week over about 10 weeks. So the program itself is 17 weeks long, not including the 2-week break. So you've got a bit of time at the beginning to find a centre and find your feet before you have to go in and do those hours, over the remainder of the semester. In our diploma program, a similar situation, except you do slightly more. So with our diploma program, you would do 12 hours per week in an early learning centre, again of your choosing, and you do that throughout the whole year. So not just half, because the program is a whole year long. You would go into the centre for 2 days a week. With the diploma program, you have a 1 week in the first semester where you're basically doing like a full-time week in your home centre, and that's really just to give you a bit of a taste of what it's like to be working in early childhood full-time, because it's quite different to just being there a couple of days a week. Then in the second semester, so our job is to find you a different early learning centre to go and visit and do a practicum. We call it a block practicum, and you'd be there for 3 weeks full time. So it's about 105 hours. So essentially it's a 7-hour day, so 35 hours a week for those 3 weeks, and you'd be in your early learning centre. It's one we find for you. So it might be that It's working with infants and toddlers if you're currently in your home centre as a kindergarten, or vice versa. So we try and give you a slightly different experience than what you might have been used to. And we wait to do that till the second semester so that you feel really comfortable being around children. And you're ready and you've developed some skills and tips to be able to go out and, develop relationships with a new set of children in whānau. And then in our degree program, pretty much the same sort of thing. In the first half of every academic year, you would do a home, well, actually not always, you would do a home centre practicum of about 3 weeks in year 1 and 2, and then 5 weeks in year 3. Now, the good thing about a home centre practicum is that you can be paid. So it's amazing because, you can be covering for someone else who's on leave. You can be, because it's your home centre, they already know you already know the children. It's just you're there full time. So yeah, you can continue to be paid during that time. And then alternatively, in the other half of the semester or the other half of the year, you would do an away practicum of 3 weeks in the first year, 4 weeks in the second year, and 3 weeks in the third year. And those are places that we source for you. So again, it would be somewhere that you different to what your home context is. So it might be going to a kindergarten, it could be going to a mixed age setting, it could be going to a kohangareo as an example, or another language nest. We have relationships with centres across the wider Auckland region. So we wouldn't, if you lived in, let's say you lived in Otara, we would never send you to the North Shore unless you wanted to go there. But we might send you to, let's say Botany, which is a couple of suburbs over. So you're not going to be travelling too much, but you are going to have to go, a suburb or two away to be able to get a different experience. So yeah, those practicums are an integral part of what we do and why we do it. So you'd also get a visit. So one of our friendly faces, it could be Mary, it could be me, it could be one of the rest of our team, we'd come and visit you. And we'd have some discussions with you about how your practice is going. We'd give you some tips and tricks about what you could do in different scenarios. We would highlight for you what you're doing really well. And again, you'd see someone different most of the time, because it's really important to get a different voice and a different picture of your practice. And yeah, so you get to know the whole team over over the duration of the program, which is really cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of support and accountability from ECE teaching staff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So if a student was to successfully complete their bachelor degree with ECE, are they immediately a qualified early childhood educator, or is there processes after the degree?
Yeah, so while you obviously have to complete the program first, and you would get a certificate of completion before graduation that says that you've met all the program requirements. You can then use that to apply for teacher certification with the New Zealand Teaching Council, and from there it also allows your centres to collect a different rate of funding and things like that when you are qualified. So essentially, as soon as you've met all the program requirements, which we generally confirm with you 10 days after the end of the program, you are then qualified. You then begin the process. It's generally a 2 to 3 year process of teacher certification. It's just an extension of your journey, and that's something that you work on with your, with your mentor teacher in your centre where you're employed.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Kylie. So if you're a student on this program, what types of qualities or traits do you suggest they bring with them?
What do you think, Mary?
Professionalism would be one of them. We have very high standards and expectations from day one, and we emphasize that from day one, that our students not only maintain a high degree of professionalism inside our classroom environments, but also on the outside, because everybody's watching them now that they're studying. We try and get them in that mode from day one where they are a teacher. This is just another part of the journey in getting them into being qualified status. So we invite them to take on those dispositions in terms of being committed, disciplined, time management, and all those things that we try to get them into the mode of being from day one. So that's what we're asking our students to come with, as well as a positive attitude, a go-get-it attitude, and to leave all that baggage and all those I can't, I don't, and things behind them, because this is a new journey and we're journeying together. So in terms of our support, we let them know that they're not alone. This journey is one where we're all going through together as one, and we're all coming out the other end together as one as well. Kia ora.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I agree with Mary in that, we do hold a really high standard of professionalism for our in-training teachers, because actually you are held to that when you are a qualified teacher. So why not start it now when you're in training, right? But we want you guys to be curious, because you know what, if you're curious, you're gonna keep that passion alive. And every family, every child, everyone that you interact with, as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, it's always going to be the top priority, I think. Because if you're passionate, you're going to make sure that you are in class on time or at work on time. You're going to make sure that you're submitting your assessments and communicating effectively. But also, as Mary said, we're really supportive. So, coming into a tertiary space is very new for some people. Whether you've come straight from high school or whether you're a more mature student who's taken some time away from study or never done tertiary study before, the good thing about our lecturers, we've been together a really long time. I would think for the most part we've all been together for 7, maybe 8 years. That's probably our lowest. Some of our lecturers have been around even longer than that, with huge amounts of experience. And we also recognise that every student is slightly different, and we try and tailor the journey for you and make sure we give you the support that you need, whether it's additional support with time management strategies, whether it's assistance with technology, and where to find those appropriate resources, as well as one of the ways that we can help connect you with different people in the institute to make sure you get the support you need.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you, ladies. In terms of our projects, or the projects the students do, tell us about one of them. So one of the popular projects that the students do in either of the programs, so in either the certificate, the diploma, or the degree. Please share with us what they might experience or have to do.
From a diploma perspective, and one of the projects that I myself do with our students is based on te reo and trying to incorporate te reo Māori and tikanga Māori in their practices. And one of the ways in which I do it is get them to make and create 2 resources. One's a te reo Māori booklet, all in te reo, and a play resource that goes in line with it in terms of how it can enhance children and extend and build on their learning from the book, that's got a range of te reo Māori phrases in it. And so that's proven to be really effective, as well as enlightening in terms of the students, because they're not used to making and creating resources in te reo, let alone English, but they've been able to adapt and use their creative and innovative abilities to strengthen their practice. And when they come out of it and they look at the beautiful resources they've made, they can see, wow, I can do this. Look at this. This is my work. This is what I've been able to make and create. So in taking that, they've been able to make and create other resources during the 4 years that they've been with us. Yeah.
Cool.
Love it.
Yeah, so we can sign you guys up as well if you like. You
Might just come sneak into one of the classrooms one day.
But as Mary says, a lot of what we do is really practically focused. Because you're out in your centres, it's really important you've got the strategies to be able to engage with children. And some of the strategies that you need to engage with children is actually to know how to use resources appropriately. So Mary's talking about creating resources, and I think we do that in a couple of other, not just in the diploma, but we do that in the degree and the certificate as well. But we also, have fun sessions as well. So for example, in one of our first year degree papers, we have a whole session on just tactile play. So, Loop and Play-Doh and things like that, because those are the kinds of things that you need to practically know when you go out into a centre. But in saying that, there's heaps of theoretical stuff too, and you need to understand why you do things that you do, why play is really important, why using Te Reo Māori is really important for, you know, your children's cultural identity, but also our you know, our own cultural heritage. So, you know, we have the fun stuff balanced with the stuff that goes, actually, this is why we do it. And part of that is we want you guys to be really engaged in having a really sound understanding of why you do what you do, and having a really clear picture of who you are as a teacher, because actually it's all about identity. And it's about, if you know your own identity and why you are who you are and how you've become who you are, you're able to support children and their families with that too. And we spend a lot of time with that, not just, you know, in our degree program, but our diploma and our certificate program as well, where we start to build some of those, you know, those self-reflective strategies of thinking about why I do certain things, and thinking about your theory and your practice and going, actually, my philosophy is adapting because I'm learning. And that's something that's really amazing. By the time you get to year 3 and you reflect on your journey and just go, wow, I've come so far, whether it's a 6-month journey, a year-long journey, or a 3-year journey.
Definitely. It's awesome. It's a lot of content, but
Yep.
beneficial for when you're out in the actual workplace of a early childhood centre. Awesome. So moving on to our next question. What is the current earnings or average salary for a early childhood educator?
I'll let you answer that, Kylie.
It's a really hard question. And the reason I say that is because in New Zealand, we have privately owned centres, and we have publicly funded centres, who, I'll use a kindergarten example as an example. They have pay parity with primary school, so they're on a collective agreement. So look, this is a very loose guide, so don't take this as the only option. But because also you'll be classed as an unqualified teacher when you're in training, so you might start at a more closer to a minimum wage, maybe around $20. But however you progress through the journey and over time and qualifications, you could be earning as a centre manager, which lots of our students end up doing. Whether it's a team leader or a centre manager or a professional services manager for an organisation, you could be earning, and again, this is probably the lower end, $70,000 plus. So it completely depends on your experiences, your level of qualification, and yeah, all of those things.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
So the next question, I'm just going to ignore that one and just make up my own one because I'm curious myself. So just it shouldn't be too difficult. So if a student was to come and complete a degree in early childhood education, can they teach up to primary school teaching, or is it the other way around? Sorry.
So yes. So again, a tricky question, because so our qualification allows you to teach children from 0 through to, well, traditionally 6, because you don't technically have to go to school until you're 6. But we're talking, this is an early childhood qualification. So it's generally children up to the age of about 5, because children would traditionally go off to school. However, we have some of our students who are employed in primary school settings as new entrant teachers. But that is completely dependent upon the Board of Trustees and that kind of thing.
At that
so
point.
it's an individual situation.
Yeah. Okay. So just dependent on the situation.
Okay. I get that asked by a lot of high school students out there, and I think it's just in terms of what's happening now, it'd be handy for them to know if we can offer that for them. So thank you, ladies.
And saying that in regard, carry on.
Sorry, what I will say is that, a bit of a tease here, we are in the process of developing a Bachelor of Education primary degree, which we hope to be delivering from 2021. May not be till mid-semester at this point, but we're so excited to add that to our suite of education programs, because, you know, I think just moving into that space, we so desperately need teachers, whether you're an early childhood teacher or a primary teacher, and if we can offer that in our context, it's going to be so exciting.
Very
absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That was actually going to be my next question. So it's good that you gave that little tease. But in regards to the classroom setting, what's like the biggest number or the maximum number in a classroom?
Look, it depends, to be honest. Sometimes and what I will say is that a class size, it doesn't determine whether it's better or worse. So some of our classes, like our diploma classes at the moment, are almost 40 students, which is great because there's heaps of dialogue going on. There's heaps of shared ideas. People get the chance to be able to share their own opinions and hear lots of different opinions. Whereas some of our other classes, it might be more like it's 15 to 20. So it just completely depends on the program. It's traditionally in semester 2, so our mid-year intakes from July are traditionally slightly lower, but again, that's a good thing too, because a small class means you get slightly more one-on-one interaction with your lecturer, but you're not compromised at all by having a big class because you get to learn even more from each other. So yeah.
Awesome. That's cool. Thank you for that.
Did you have anything to add, Mary, to that question?
No, just that I've been on the other end of having to teach these classes, and it's been amazing to be able to provide for both. I must admit that you're having to adapt as well, and being able to be flexible to be able to cater for the different groups as well has been one of my challenges over the years, but we've done it. We're here 9 years on since I've been working in early childhood. I must admit that I started off with primary. I myself have a bachelor in primary teaching. So this journey through early childhood has been a wonderful process for myself as a lecturer in this area too.
Just on the class sizes as well, what I will say is that one thing that's really special about MIT and the way we run our programs is that you're not going to be sitting in a lecture theatre of 100 people or 80 people or 60 people. It's so important to us that we have a connection and a relationship where we will know your name and we will be able to tell you things about you because we get to know you, as opposed to a lecture theatre where there's 300 students, or even if it's 100 students, you get to see the same lecturers while also getting a range of lecturers. So you get to know them, they get to know you, and it means that our level of support and pastoral care can be that much more tailored to you because we get to know you. And our class sizes, you might think 40 is pretty large, but in a tertiary context, it's good. You're going to be sitting in groups. You're not going to be sitting in a lecture theatre. You may for some of your sessions, but you're traditionally going to be sitting, around the tables, talking, being able to engage in group work, and where your lecturer will come and sort of sit and engage with individual groups. So, none of this 100+ business.
Wow. Okay. So you've kind of gone into our next question. Thank you for being so extensive. I guess so. Just in terms of, we'll go back into the entry requirements. So apart from, the credits, students have to sit a police vetting form or, any sort of test like that. Can you please talk about what else is required of students to apply for one of your programs?
Okay, so in applying for an education program, it is slightly more things to do, I guess you could say. For any of our programs, I talked a little bit before about meeting Children's Act requirements. And part of our risk assessment, there's multiple different things that we have to fulfill as part of that if you're going to be working with children. So an interview is one of those things. So we would interview you along with probably 2 or 3 other students at the same, or potential students at the same time. You would also need to complete a police vet report. So we would run, and again, that's not just us. Anyone working with children has to complete a police vet report, and we'll address anything with you if required. You'd also need to provide 2 forms of ID. So normally for most study situations, you'd only need to provide 1, but because it's part of a risk assessment, we have to have 2 forms of ID, and one of those forms of ID has to be a photo ID. So like an 18 plus card, your license, your passport, that kind of thing. And then your other form of ID could be your passport, if you're providing a license, or it could be your birth certificate or something like that. And then we also have to have referee forms. So we have to have 2 people, not your family, not your friend, 2 people that perhaps you've worked with, or that perhaps have been your teachers from school, or people that you engage with perhaps in the church or other community groups who know you pretty well. They need to be able to give us some feedback about how well, as Mary talked about before, your dispositions. So how imaginative are you? Does this person, think that you'd be a good fit to work with children? Those kinds of things. So you'd have to provide 2 satisfactory referee reports at the same time. So all of those things form what we call a risk assessment. And we look at all of those things before offering places in our programs.
Wow.
Awesome. That's cool. Thank you for that. I guess we'll end off with, from the both of you, why should, I know you've touched base on field-based programs with ECE, as well as our classes are small, which means more one-on-one time with the lecturers, but what else would you say of why someone should choose ECE at MIT?
For me, I would encourage those who are wanting to work in early child to join us at MIT, because we provide not only a lot of support within our team, but to MIT as a wide, as a whole. We live our values that we speak of, manaakitanga. We are real, we are connected, and we do it in an authentic space, so that those who come onto our program, even myself, I always say to my students, will you be the teacher that I would want to leave my mokopuna with? My own children, I have a child who's 5 years old who has global developmental delay and health issues, and I wouldn't just leave him with anybody. So when I look at my students, I want them to be able to convince me that they have what it takes to be an early childhood educator, and to be able to teach and conduct themselves in a behaviour that I would want a teacher to be working in. And so in terms of our context and what we're able to provide, we're very well resourced. We have a whole range of expertise amongst us as a team and as a staff. We're dedicated, we're committed, we go over and above the call of duty, as like other teachers across the globe that are doing now. And we are South Auckland based, and we have a diverse range of staff who are able to cater to many cultures. We are inclusive, dynamic, innovative, creative. Should I go on? Should I just stop here?
You've sold me.
Ka pai. Over to you, Kylie.
Thanks, Mary. I don't actually know what I can add to that. But, I just want to reiterate more what Mary said, because, I don't think I can add more to that, but say, what I love about MIT, and what I think you'll find if you talk to others in our team, a lot of us actually studied at MIT. So I studied at MIT. I got my early childhood Bachelor of Education through MIT. I went on and did further study with other institutes. But you know what? Why we're here is because we love this place. That this place is part of us. And you can see that because we chose to study here, but we've continued our journey here, perhaps going off in other places and gathering other experiences, but coming back. This is where it feels like home, and we want our students to feel like this is an extension of home, because actually we want, when you're out in your centres, we want your children to feel like your early learning centre is an extension of home, and so that connection and that relationship is such an integral part of what we do, not just in our school, but at MIT. And I think we try so very hard to make sure that you feel at home.
Awesome. That was beautiful. Thank you so much, ladies. So yeah, that pretty much sums up our little kōrero today. On behalf of MIT, thank you all so much for tuning in and watching our experts give us a little bit of wisdom and knowledge about ECE. So if you're wanting to know more about our ECE programs, please head to our website. You'll see all the details there that we've talked about. But if you're wanting to get in contact with our lecturers personally, feel free to give me and Steve an email on experience@manuko.nz, and we will happily send your details over to our wonderful lecturers. Kylie and Mary, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much for your time, and take care during this lockdown, and we hope to see you back on campus shortly. Thank you.
Kia ora.
Thank you, ladies.
MIT, where the best makers are made.